Another winning week for both Brady Quinn and Pete Prisco, and they're getting close to 500 for the season as we near the halfway point. Brady 9-6 last week, Pete 8-7, and Brady now with one game lead.
Well, we're pretty deep into the season at this point. Has this been the toughest season that you can recall betting?
It's hard.
I look at everyone's records. People are hovering or struggling to get to 500 right now. It feels like it's a struggle every week.
But you know what? I feel good about my week this week and not so good about his. You just killed all these aging quarterbacks. Well, there's one, too, right here.
Wow.
Whoa!
I mean, I've been on a hot streak, too. Just beating you, just
I know, but
it's
been a bad week.
And now you're down.
He said this has been a bad little
It's been an epic comeback.
Yeah,
Some are calling it the greatest comeback ever right now.
Maybe, but bad week for aging quarterbacks.
What are we, Brady? Are we 37 or 38? I always forget.
37.
Okay, so I am too. We're the same age. All right,
It's
Ravens.
unbelievable you don't know how old.
Bucks. I just asked Brady, and he lets me know how old I am. Bucks are getting 1.5 points at home against the Ravens.
This line seemed a little fishy to me, and just as bad as the Bucks played last week when they're a double-digit favorite, granted versus a divisional opponent, but I kind of thought the Ravens might be a little bit more. They played some pretty good football. That pass rush is starting to come on, and that's going to be the toughest part about this matchup is Justin Houston, Odafe Owe, Calais Campbell, that group getting after Tom Brady. At his age, you know he hates being moved off the spot and getting hit, but with that offensive line, that's going to be a problem. Although the passing game has kind of been inconsistent. Lamar's starting to fall off for Baltimore, and that's a tough defense to match up with on the flip side. So I'm going to take the Bucks at home with the 1.5 points here. I think eventually Tom Brady and the Bucks offense is going to get this thing going again.
I agree with you. I think this is a good spot for them to get going. I still am not a big believer in that Ravens defense. You mentioned the passing game of the Ravens. They might not have Mark Andrews in this game. Bateman might be a game-time decision. You have big issues for an offense. The passing offense is not very good to begin with. I think that plays into the advantage. Although Carolina ran all over the Tampa Bay Buccaneer defense last week, so there's a possibility to just give it to Gus Edwards and let Lamar Jackson run. Having said all that, I still think this is Brady's get-right game. I think he's going to have some shots down the field. I'll take Brady.
I feel like you said the same thing last week, though.
We've been saying it a lot. I mean,
Well, okay. Maybe if Mike Evans catches one to open the game and they go up 7-0, it's a different ball game. You can't do that. You can't drop long touchdown passes.
I do wonder how much of the off-the-field stuff, things that have come out of his personal life, are playing a little bit of a factor in his personal play.
Probably.
I mean, it's unfortunate that things have gotten out like that and things have been handled, but you do wonder, because it's hard to put your finger on what else it could be.
It's unfortunate it got out. He's in the news. When the good happens, the good happens. When the bad happens, the bad happens.
It's personal business. There's kids involved, that sort of thing, too, that plays a role in it. That's what
You're a public figure, Brady.
I get that, but I'm just saying that's not where the focus should be, and it's hard to draw a conclusion for why he has not been able to replicate what we saw last year.
So you're blaming the media for that?
I'm not blaming the media.
Okay, the focus.
I said it's unfortunate.
You kind of blame the media a little bit.
Pete, you're a public figure. Should we talk about your marriage?
About your personal life?
My marriage is great.
Making out a fish.
That's not what I heard.
It's absolutely 100% fantastic.
I don't know. Antonio Brown's making a T-shirt. It just says booming on it. You know, I'm just saying.
No, but all I'm saying is, don't blame the media.
I'm not blaming them. I never mentioned the media.
You were kind of saying it, but the issue.
No, it wasn't.
The issue is the issue, no matter what.
Brady is the media.
I understand,
He's not going to blame
but I'm
himself.
saying,
He won't.
What's the difference with this season? Is whatever struggles and it's gone on behind the scenes now has come to light. And sometimes for a public figure, it's hard when then people have an understanding of your personal life. And that's now become public. That's all I'm saying. It plays a factor.
Everybody every facet of life deals with crap every day. Every day you get up.
I don't
crap
disagree
in
with
your
that,
life.
but here's the thing: is not everyone knows about your crap. Right? That's the difference.
You go driving to work and you get a flat tire like you did a couple weeks ago. That's life's crap.
That's
you
not
deal
true.
with it.
I kept driving in. I rode right on that rim all the way in. I probably ruined that whole tire.
The only crap Pete deals with is the crap in the litter box from his cats.
There we
He's
go.
such a
That's
big
right.
cat
There we
guy.
go.
Let's move on to the London game. Both these guys like the Buccaneers, by the way. London, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. It's the last game in London this season. It's a couple of teams, Broncos, Jags, that are 2-5, and that's the line as well. Jags minus 2.5.
Jags aren't playing very good football of late, and I kind of am curious to see if they'll be able to score any points versus that Broncos defense. That has been the one consistent piece, I'd say. Now, they struggle at times against the run, but you know, I don't have James Robinson anymore. Not that he was necessarily even the featured back. I just think this is going to be a tougher matchup for the Jags, who are laying 2.5 here, and a site that it's a neutral site. Let's be real. All right, I don't know how many people over in London are really rooting for the Jacksonville Jaguars as a home base for them. Look, I'm taking the 2.5 points in the Broncos. At some point, too, we just said this about Tom Brady. Russell Wilson in this offense is going to get going. I don't know if this is the game or not, But I think they've got a shot. Russell Wilson's back, says his hamstring's fine. He's got Wolverine blood or whatever, and he's going high knees when he's in the aisle, apparently on the flight over, while everyone else is sleeping. Whatever the case may be, I'm taking the Broncos. I'm taking the 2.5 points. I would say this. I do like the under. 39 here. I like the under in this game. Low-scoring game. Broncos cover.
Here, I'm going to do this. You know what that is? That's all his teammates watching the idiot go up and down the aisle and do his high knees.
They were sleeping.
They weren't sleeping.
They were sleeping.
No, these guys were up. Give me a break.
Is there enough room to do high knees down an aisle on a plane?
Ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous. It's all for show. If you're a teammate of his and you see him doing that, you look over, you go, what an idiot. It's being an idiot. Come on.
I'm wondering if there was like some butt kicks involved. Were there some other calisthenics, or was it just high knees?
Give it a little trip as he goes down the aisle, and you play the other guy. No, I mean seriously, you don't think that's cornball? That's corny.
There's been a lot of corny.
Yeah.
Lately.
Yes.
Wolverine blood, all that.
Yeah, I just don't get it. But I think Jacksonville will find a way to win the game. Denver went over.
Keep on the Jacksonville bandwagon.
Well, maybe if Doug Peterson
crept back into this.
Maybe if Doug
Peterson
would kick a field goal up to go up 7 late in the game, they would have won the game. He did.
Now you're questioning the head coach.
Well,
this is the first time he's done that with the Jacksonville Jaguars head coach.
I question a lot of head coaches.
Questions a lot of Jacksonville Jaguars head coaches.
Yeah, well, I know one I question a lot. That moron that was there before. I will take Jacksonville minus the points.
I'm going with the Broncos on the high knees.
And Brady, it was you that said take the under, right?
Oh, yeah.
Under 39. Look at those.
I might get up and
those
go high.
We're both on the same side on that, by the way. Pete wanted to.
Both on.
We're both on the under.
I might go do high knees behind us while you're doing your next segment.
Both on the under 39, but they're on opposite sides on the teams in London. This hour of HQ presented by Amazon. Looking at the early CBS games on Sunday afternoon. The Eagles, 11-point favorites at home against the Steelers, looking to stay perfect. The Jets getting points at home against the Patriots, who are going to start Mac Jones. Dolphins -3 in Detroit. And the Saints are going to start Andy Dalton against the Raiders as home dogs there in the Superdome. Chris Hassel, Brady Quinn, Pete Prisco. The Philadelphia Eagles off the bye week, unbeaten, and trading for Robert Quinn before this game as well.
A little extra ammunition. Not necessarily that they'll be needed in this game, but down the stretch probably. The battle for Pennsylvania, and this is one that it's a big number, and not that this is like a rivalry game type thing, but Mike Tomlin has had his fair share of wins in this matchup, and this is one where I just think they're completely outclassed. It doesn't matter if it's Kenny Pickett behind center or Mitchell Trubisky. The offense isn't that of which they can do anything with against this Eagles defense. Matt Canada, in my opinion, has been holding them back. At some point, they really need to take a long, hard look at who's calling the plays there in Pittsburgh. But off the bye, the Eagles here shouldn't have any issues whatsoever with a Pittsburgh offense. They just can't put up points, even versus a bunch of backups in the secondary for Miami last week.
Yeah, it's a tough turnaround for the Steelers, too. You go to Miami, you go home, now you got to go play. And granted, it's not a long trip, but you're still out on the road again against a team coming off a bye. It's a bad combination. I think the Eagles are tough to prepare for our defense week in and week out. It's going to be a challenge for the Steelers. I'm with you. I think the Eagles will get this going. And you're right. The Steelers need to make a change at play caller. Let Kenny Pickett play up-tempo a little bit. Throw it around. You got good receivers. And the offensive line, for all the criticism it's taken, it's starting to play better. Let him whip it around. You got good receivers outside. Throw the football. You have a darn good tight end in Freiermuth. Let him throw the football.
Dogs that are getting 4+ points this season in the NFL, hitting 2/3 of the time. But these guys say Eagles +11 is the pick. Also, 1 o'clock Eastern on CBS. Patriots coming off the embarrassing loss to the Bears. Jets on a roll. Somehow the Patriots are favored in this game. Mac Jones going to start.
It's something we talked about at the beginning of the season. I mean, we didn't think in their first 9 games the Jets would be favored in many. I thought they would be in this one. So I'm taking the 1.5 and the New York Jets. I'm not sure what to expect out of the New England Patriots. We know Mac Jones is starting now, but based on how he played, based on where this offense is at, it's hard to trust in Matt Patricia having any consistency right now. And Mac Jones obviously has to step up his level of play. That's the bottom line. Quinn Williams is playing like the defensive player of the year. Dogs, by the way, are winning on 58% of bets. So I'll take the Jets, not only covering, obviously, with the 1.5, but winning outright.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Jets as well. I just think, now, losing Breece Hall, losing Vera Tucker, the offensive lineman, those are big hits for the Jets. There's no question about that. They did trade for James Robinson. It'll be interesting how quickly he can get acclimated to being a guy who can take handoffs for that team. But I didn't like what I saw from the Patriots. You know, and we all talked about the quarterback. That was the big story of the night. But their defense was terrible. And traditionally, they've had problems with quarterbacks who get outside the pocket and can run the football. Zach Wilson doesn't do that like Justin Fields does, but he can move. I think this is going to be a game where the Jets keep it close, and in the end, they find a way to win it.
Very little respect for the Jets on the betting line in this one. It's the first time that they have a better record going into this matchup with the Patriots since 2001.
One thing, Chris, if Robert Saleh was the coach of the Patriots and Bill Belichick was the coach of the Jets, would that line they would be flip-flopped?
Probably, but
it is odd. You're a 5-2 football team.
Yeah.
Playing at home,
right.
and you're still an underdog.
And a team coming off its worst game of the season against the Bears.
Maybe we're just big, giant fish.
Could be. Maybe. Speaking of fish, the Dolphins on the road in Detroit against a Lions team that seems to be falling apart right now.
Yeah, their offense was the only thing kind of keeping them together, their ability to keep games competitive. And at this point, you know, Jared Goff's play has fallen off. I think they're just looking for answers on the outside. I mean, they're waiting and already talking about the moment Jameson Williams is able to come back and impact this football team right now. So it doesn't seem like there's a lot of hope. One thing I know about this team, though, is they will fight. And even as bad as their defense has been, and there's no doubt I could see Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle absolutely carving up this secondary. Some tells me that Detroit's going to hang around in this one. I'm just saying, this has the feeling to one of those games where Tua comes back, he gets the win at home. Second half didn't look quite as good versus Pittsburgh. I'm going to take the Lions here and the 3 points. I think this one's really, really close. Not saying to win, but really, really close.
I think Mike McDaniel messed up his play calling the other day. They should have stayed playing
they're
fast
doing
and
the first
throwing
half,
the ball around, and they tried to start running the ball. This week, they won't do that. That's going to be like a track meet for those receivers. On that fast field, they're going to look like so electrifyingly fast. It's going to be amazing to watch. They're going to put up big numbers. I think the Lions will score as well. I noticed you had the over as one of your picks. I really like the over. I didn't put it down here, but I do as well. But I'm going to take Miami. I don't see how the Lions can keep up with those outside receivers.
Hutchinson, maybe had one of his better games last week, taking on the Miami offensive lines, giving up.
Played better, though. The line played better last week.
Playing better, I'm just saying. Look out for Aiden Hutchinson, too, to maybe play a bigger factor in this one.
Okay, so Pete on the Dolphins. Brady likes the Lions to cover there. One more game on CBS at 1 Eastern time. The Saints are going to start Andy Dalton once again. They're at home against the Raiders, who've won 2 of 3 after that 0-3 start.
What do you make of that? I mean, Jameis Winston still is back. He's not ready, not healthy enough. Do you think they kind of want to draw this thing out with Dalton because he did have a good preseason, good camp from all accounts? Maybe they feel like he gives them a better chance to win at this point?
I told you what some guys there were telling me when I was there in camp. They thought Andy Dalton would have the job by the 5th week and be his job. And so maybe it is his job for good now. Why wouldn't you go back to Jameis Winston if he's ready to play? I would think you would. I think this is a good spot for the Saints. I've been really wrong about their defense so far. I thought they were going to be really good, and they haven't been. I think this is a game for them to start showing they're better. Look at their division. Yeah. It's wide open. They can win think about that. They can win that division. They haven't been good yet. So this is a game for them to turn it around. I'll take the Saints at home.
I did not feel good about this game at all as far as the spread. It's one of my favorite bets. I'll get to that later on. I like the over. I think there's going to be a lot of scoring in this game. The Raiders' offense is getting going with Derek Carr. I think he's starting to get a better feel for Josh McDaniel's system. Puts a lot on the quarterback. It's very different from what he's been asked to do in the past in some of those West Coast systems. And on the flip side, the Saints can throw it around a little bit. So I think the over is the better play. I'm with you, though. I'll take the home dog in this case based on the trends of what's happened this season.
Only a game out of first place are the Saints at 2-5. Recapping the picks in the early CBS games on Sunday from Pete and Brady, and they agree on every spread except one. That Lions and Dolphins game, but they like the Eagles minus the 11 against the Steelers, Jets plus 1.5 at home against the Patriots, and the Saints plus 2 at home against the Raiders. Minnesota Vikings enjoying a nice little cushion in the NFC North with Green Bay's struggles. They've got Kyler Murray coming to town. Why Brady thinks this could be a tricky spot. HQ presented by Amazon, the early slate on Fox, just 3 games, all featuring some under 500 teams, showing some fight last week, all of them on the road. Cards, Bears, Panthers, all winners and all underdogs again this week, looking to pull upsets. Chris Hassel joined by Brady Quinn and Pete Prisco. Let's start with the Cardinals and the Vikings. Minnesota's at home. They're giving 3.5 off the bye week. Still just that one loss this season to the Eagles.
Yeah, they've been incredible. I mean, really, when you look at what they've done offensively for the most part, maybe a couple exceptions for Justin Jefferson, but they've been able to find big plays in the passing game. Running games come along too. It's hard to pick against them. They are coming off the bye. However, Arizona's coming off some extra time too. Remember, they played that Thursday night game the week prior against the Saints. And look, Hopkins is back. The offense looks different with him. I'm sorry, it just does. And they're not playing him how they normally did. He's not playing outside as much. He's moved into the slot, playing more from there. This game I think is going to be tight. I'm taking the 3.5 points. I'm taking Arizona. I think Kyler Murray creates some issues with his legs. I know people hated the conversation with him and Cliff on the sideline and all that. I don't care about that. It's a new week, new game. I think the Cardinals are able to keep this one close in Minnesota.
It's the Patrick Peterson revenge game. Right? Playing against his former team, and I like.
But you don't
Vikings.
believe in that.
I don't believe it.
Okay.
You always bring it up, though.
You know what? It's like mocking Jamie Eisenberg, who brings it up all the time.
Oh, Jamie's the big revenge game guy.
Oh, yeah. He loves
revenge.
He does. He loves revenge.
You like the show Revenge.
Yeah.
It was a show for a while.
But I just think that the Vikings offense is going to be too much for Arizona's defense. I'm still not a believer in that defense at all.
That's fine.
You saw Andy Dalton. He lit them up until he threw the pick six.
Yeah.
He threw an end zone interception. They go up there. Who knows? They go up big there. Who knows? But I think this is going to be a game for Kirk Cousins. Not in prime time. Kirk Cousins will play well in this game. He will outplay Kyler Murray. I'll lay the 3.5.
Are you just hoping that Minnesota plays at 1 o'clock, or should Minnesota?
Minnesota fans should hope they play at 1 o'clock all the time. They should. He's terrible in prime time.
Eagles are the only undefeated team in the NFL. The Vikings are right behind them in the NFC. But are they the number 2 contender right now to the Eagles? I mean, with all those would-be favorites struggling like the Packers and Rams?
Give them credit, yeah. I would put them there right now.
Yeah.
I think the defense is still coming along, but offensively they feel like a juggernaut at times. It's just, is it sustainable? You know, is Kirk Cousins going to hit a lull? Is he going to be able to play at the level he's played at for the rest of the season?
Just don't tell him it's a big game. He'll be fine.
This
He'll
guy.
be fine. He's going to put up big numbers in games that aren't big games, and it's a good offense. They have playmakers outside. Cook can run the ball. The line's gotten better. You're right about the defense, though. Once they figure out how they're playing together, it's a new defense. They'll be fine on that side of the ball.
The one thing I like, though, playing in Minnesota, they have snow that comes out there in the stadium. It makes you feel like, you know, you're like defending the North. And it's cool. It's fake snow. Yeah, oh yeah. You're sitting up there, you're in the crowd, like all this fake snow comes out. It's a really cool atmosphere.
Cool stadium.
Yeah, it is.
Better than the old Triple H Metrodome.
Don't bring that dump.
The old Hubert H.
The
Humphrey.
place was horrible. The loud, nasty. You couldn't even sit in there. It's gross.
Let's go to Dallas and the Cowboys at home against the Bears, giving 9.5. Dak returned, and the defense dominated again with 5 more takeaways last week.
The defense has been dominant. It's going to be a huge challenge for the Bears. Look, give them credit. Great win versus New England. Different deal here. Micah Parsons, to me, right now is the defensive player of the year. And I think he probably will be by the end of the season if he stays healthy. But he's going to be a problem for that Chicago Bears offensive line. And again, give credit for what the Bears were able to do. I don't think they'll be able to replicate that on the road versus the Cowboys. With back-to-back weeks on the road, too, that's going to play a factor.
Short week.
I think the running game, like the Bears have been bad against the run. I think Dallas will be able to do that. This is a game, too, I think Dak starts to get things back on track. Looked a little rusty, I would say, last week, too. I think he takes care of business here. Big number, but I'll lay the points.
You know, you heard all last week about how much the Bears put into beating the Patriots. Like it was like their mini bye. I mean, it was their big deal. It was a big deal for the Bears. Now it's tough to come back against a good team on the road again, and you face that, you mentioned it, that defense against that pass rush. I know Fields can get out of there. How about spying him once in a while? That'd be a nice idea. I mean, my gosh, what was Belichick doing? Spy the guy. You know, and I think the Cowboys will do that. They'll be better at it. They'll limit his ability to get outside the pocket and keep him in there. And when you keep him in there, that plays to the advantage of those pass rushers. I'm with you. I think the Cowboys win this game and cover the number.
Okay, one more game to pick on Fox, 1 o'clock Eastern time in the early afternoon window. It's the Panthers, who got a surprising victory last week at the Falcons, who, depending on what happens with the Bucs, they could be alone in first place. The Bucs are underdogs against the Ravens. The Falcons favored in this one.
I'm on the side of Carolina here. It's just because I think Atlanta's going to be playing close games. They've done that for the most part, maybe with the exception of that San Francisco win. But divisional game, Panthers still playing hard. Like all these guys, you can say whatever you want now. Matt Rule's gone. Steve Wilkes takes over. Guys are playing for their jobs. They're playing for their livelihood moving forward, whether it's with the Panthers this year or next year. P.J. Walker, I thought, played pretty darn well for the Panthers last week, and that defense is still getting after it. So I think the Panthers can keep it within the number. I think you're going to travel on the road and be just fine. So I'll take the 4.5 points.
By the way, if the Panthers win and the Saints lose,
Oh, my God.
and the Bucks
Bucks
lose,
lose.
the Panthers are in first place.
Without a head coach.
Tanking. First place. They're tanking. They're in first place. They ran the ball well last week. Christian who? They didn't need him. They ran all over the Bucks last week. They're going to try and do the same thing here. I just think the Falcons getting back home. The Falcons got ambushed last week. This is not an ambush team. Carolina's not an ambush team. Cincinnati was an ambush team because they hit you with the pass down the field. Carolina does not. I think Atlanta at home will find a way to win the game. I'll lay the point.
I'm saying they win. I'm saying they win by more than 4.5.
No, I do. I think they win by touchdown.
Okay, and that would get them back to 500 at 4-4. Recapping these picks, and only an agreement on one. That would be the
That's
Cowboys.
the way we like it, by the way.
Yeah, I know you guys don't like agreeing. That's true, but you've agreed on a lot the last couple of weeks, and you've been above 500 the last couple of weeks, so that's good. Cowboys minus 9.5 is the pick against the Bears. NFC West sees the Niners and Rams both looking up at the Seahawks. San Francisco is in LA this Sunday. Got that pick next. Late afternoon games on Sunday. Here they are. There's 4 of them. The Texans home against the Titans. That's the lone game on CBS. Fox has the double dipper highlighted by the Niners and Rams. Well, that was supposed to be going into the season, the highlighter. But really, it's Giants at Seahawks, the only game between winning teams this week. Yeah, we'll pick the Colts and Commanders too. Brady Quinn and Pete Prisco here. Let's start with that Colts-Commanders game. Colts -3, and it's Sam Ehlinger getting the start this week, and Frank Reich says hopefully the rest of the year.
Yeah, and it was a bit of a surprise, I think, to me this early in the season, Pete. Obviously, the issues that the Colts are experiencing, it's not all on Matt Ryan. He hasn't played his best football this season, but the protection has been spotty. They're not running the football, which is the most mind-boggling thing to me. And defensively, they haven't been as good as they've been in the past. So it's not all on Matt Ryan, but you know how this works. It's head coach, quarterback. Well, they're making the change at quarterback. I think the tough thing with Sam Ehlinger is had a great preseason. He's the type of player, he got better and better the more he played at Texas. I think he's gotten better as a pocket passer, but you've got to change the offense. There's got to be some quarterback run in there, RPOs, which he excels at. He did that at the college football level. And I think, honestly, you kind of got to look at what Philly's doing with Jalen Hurts and say, we need to do more of that within our scheme to make it work. And maybe that helps the protection. Maybe that helps out this offense find more production. All that being said, look, the Commanders got a great win last week versus Green Bay. Kind of felt like it was, maybe we even surprised themselves a little bit with that. Now you go on the road to take the Colts. I'll lay the 3 points here. I think Sam Ehlinger's got something for him.
By the way, that change at quarterback was from high above. And I'm not talking about man above. Yeah. I'm talking about Jimmy Irsay. That's where that came from. They want to try and
Brady used to hear directly from God when he played at Notre Dame.
I hear from him all the time.
I think you're hearing from down low.
Yeah, hey buddy, I'll be there. I'll be there in a couple years. Don't worry about it. No, when you look at Sam Ehlinger, I just think that he's limited in what he can do, and it's a first start. And this defense, it's not been great, but they can play the run up front. They have 2 good guys in Allen and Payne.
Are the Colts going to run the football?
They don't, but is Ehlinger going to pass the football? Who's he passing it to?
Curtis Campbell's come on.
And by the way, Heineke played pretty good football last week, and I thought that was good for them.
He came along the more he played.
Right. It wasn't great, but it was good enough, and I think they're going to find a way to win this game. I'll take the Commanders. They're going to win the game outright.
Okay.
Okay, and that would open the door even more for the Tennessee Titans, who have won 4 straight after that 0-2 start. Derrick Henry has run for 200-plus each of his last 3 games against the Texans.
You want to go fishing? Because I think we got 2 fishes about ready to bite a hook. Because I'm now looking at the sheet. I didn't know you had taken the Texans as well in this one, but this line does not make sense. The Tennessee Titans are playing some really good football right now. I know Ryan Tannehill's banged up with the ankle injury. Maybe that factors into all of this. But the Texans have been bad. And I looked at this and go, someone knows something. And just out of precedent, divisional battle, Texans at home, I'll take the 2 points. Obviously, there's some people out there who think this one's going to be close.
I am one of them. I think it's going to be really close. And when you look at the makeup of the game, they come off a big win against the Colts. That's, basically to me, they're selling themselves. We locked up They've
dominated the Colts.
Dominate the division, though. The division is theirs right now. Now you go on the road, you play a Texas team that you should beat. You're better than them. But I think this is going to be a tough spot. Davis Mills played much better last week, much better, and I think he's getting better and better. So I think
buried him a few weeks ago.
No, I didn't bury him. He wasn't playing poorly.
But my only question is, do they trade Brandon Cooks before this game even takes place?
I doubt it.
I mean, I'm just saying, that's a
Maybe.
possibility.
Nico Collins is starting to play better. I like the Texans. It wouldn't shock me to see him win the game. And I think, again, we might be this line, you thought it would be Titans -5 or so.
5 or 6.
Yeah. If we're fish, I'm biting. So
All right, both biting on the Texans and the 2 points at home against Tennessee. All right, 4:25 Eastern Time. This was going in, expected to be the marquee game of Sunday. 49ers at the Rams, but the 49ers are under 500. The Rams are 500. Pete Prisco was all over the offensive line for the 49ers last week. You had the spinning top of the week was a Notre Dame grad.
Trent Williams gave up a sack, by the way.
Look at this, Pete.
Look at this.
Receipts from our
Look at
producer,
this.
Jack, and Pete says, spinning top is Mike McGlinchey. Guess where
I
he
mean,
went to
it's
school.
unbelievable. You are profiling them now.
No, I'm not.
You're just profiling. Anyone who goes, there's a lot of them out there.
Jack threw me under the bus on that one. By the way,
Well, I'm glad he did.
Well,
Transparency.
By the way, Trent Williams gave up a sack last week.
Why you put him on the tape then?
Because he wasn't as bad as Mike
Oh, okay,
McGlinchey.
here we go.
He wasn't.
In this one, I'm actually on the other side. I'm taking the Rams at home. I also think they're a team that's played poorly so far this year. They'll eventually figure out how to get things going. Look, the 49ers defense did not look like the number one defense last week versus KC at home. It was a bit surprising, too. I'm not sure what to make of it. Christian McCaffrey will eventually help out this offense. They'll get him up to speed. He's a Stanford guy. He's a smart guy. Eventually it'll come around. I'll go ahead and take the 1.5 points, though, with the Rams at home. I don't think they continue to play this poorly. You're over the Super Bowl hangover at this point. You're into the season. I think the Rams take care of business here. I know it hasn't been the history between Shanahan and McVay. That eventually is going to start to turn.
Will it?
Yeah.
Will it? It's not going to turn here because that pass rush against that offensive line is a major mismatch.
Sure.
The Rams' offensive line, talk about a bad offensive line. They've been bad this year. And I think it's going to show up here. And we know Stafford will throw at least one interception in the game, maybe two, because they're going to get after him and pressure him. And when they pressure him, it's a problem for him.
Do they have a Notre Dame grad on the offensive line, the Rams?
No.
So you won't pick them next week?
I won't pick them next. No, maybe I will. If they play poorly, I will. I just think the 49ers are the better team. By the way, Christian McCaffrey last week, I sent out a tweet. I said, can Christian McCaffrey play corner? Because they needed one last week. They were bad last week.
Don't forget the Rams coming off the bye.
Yeah.
Just saying, a little extra time.
Shanahan owns them.
And that has been the case. I'm not going to deny that, but coming off a bye, a little extra time to fix some of those
Think about
issues.
it. If Tart catches the interception in that game, they probably win every one of them against them. It's the only one he's lost to him.
He didn't. So.
In the
And he didn't lose
NFC
in this one
Championship
either.
game last year. And we saw how that building was overrun
Your
with
best
49ers fans last year. What?
Should be his best bet then. He feels so confident
Well,
about
we've
it.
got best bets coming up in just a little bit, but one more game to pick
Tease, you're
in the
teasing.
late afternoon. And it's the surprise matchup of the year, really, in the NFL. This is the only game featuring teams with winning records. It's the 6-1 Giants. It's the 4-3 Seahawks. And in Seattle, they are giving 3 points.
Yeah, and you can't overlook the fact Geno Smith's been phenomenal this year. Probably one of the biggest surprises. Pete Carroll saw something, John Schneider saw something, and so far he's playing the best football of his career and has led Seattle to the top of the NFC West. Kenneth Walker is probably going to be up for Offensive Rookie there, the way the Seattle Seahawks like to run the football. Tariq Woolen's been outstanding for them. All these young picks
Both tackles.
are showing out. Both tackles have played well. That being said, I can't bet against the Giants. I just can't. I love what Brian Daboll has done. Daniel Jones is playing better football, but this is all centered around Saquon Barkley. He's a special player. He's having a special year. The defense has been improved. I'll take the 3 points. I'm not saying the Giants win it outright, but they keep this one close.
Bad setup for the Giants. Bad setup. You go on the road and play at Jackson. Now you got to go across the country and play Seattle. Seattle team that's playing good football. And what do? They run the ball. What did they do last week against the Chargers? He ran for 168 yards. You know what the Chargers give up per rush? 5.7. You know what the Giants give up per rush? 5.7. Look for Kenneth Walker to have a big day, carry this team to victory. And by the way, quarterback scales, Russell Wilson, Geno Smith. Right now,
Whoa.
you do it. Give it to me. Where do my hands go?
That's not my gig. That's not my shtick.
Geno!
Whoa!
Right now, he's better than Russell Wilson.
Wow. I mean, you could make the case. There's no doubt he's
Pete
playing
Carroll
better.
knew something. John Schneider knew
Okay,
something.
I'll go one step further. He's playing as the best quarterback in that division.
And you know what else Geno Smith doesn't do? High knees on an airplane.
I don't know anyone else who does, other than Russell Wilson.
I'm going to try that when I fly to my next game.
Can you imagine if you get up and start doing
in the
that? Somebody's
aisle.
going to tackle you.
They might kick you off the plane
Right.
at 30,000
You're right.
feet.
They probably
Right.
might. They probably would.
You get tackled.
Let's recap the picks, the late afternoon slate from Pete and Brady. Only one agreement here? Texans, +2. That's it. Much more disagreement than usual here between these two. Going to get best bets coming up in just a little bit. Up next, though, we got the primetime game Sunday and Monday night. Aaron Rodgers, 11.5-point dog. They're the biggest dogs of the week in Buffalo. Primetime game Sunday, Monday night, and the Bills are 11.5-point favorites against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. And the Monday nighter is in Cleveland. Bengals playing really good football right now. They're 3-point favorites in Cleveland. Going to pick them with Brady and Pete, and we're going to start with Aaron Rodgers. He's never been a double-digit underdog. He's never been a two-score underdog, and now he's getting 11.5 here in Buffalo.
Yeah, I think we talked about this earlier this week. He's been an underdog, like 4 times, something like that.
It's crazy.
And on the road, I think I'm referring to, and he's 3-1 in those instances. Now, they haven't won. 11.5 points, man, that's a lot in the NFL. And I know the Packers have looked bad. Clearly, their loss to the Washington Commanders was bad. But the reality is, at some point, too, they're going to figure it out to keep this thing close. They do have the personnel for the Packers to rush the quarterback and cover down. So they should be able to limit some of Josh Allen. They just can't stop the runs for their life. And I don't know that the Buffalo Bills are overly interested in just running the football the entire game. So I'll go ahead and take the 11.5 points. By no means do I think Green Bay pulls off the upset. I think the Bills win this one, probably by 10. But I think 11.5 is just too much.
See, I told you they would meet at some point. I thought it would be a Super Bowl but later on.
Maybe they still do.
I don't think so. The Packers are playing bad football. They're confused. Offensively, they look disjointed.
Oh, and it's another team from New York, too. They haven't had success with that.
Yeah, right. And not only that, they're playing consecutive road games.
Uh-oh.
And the Bills are coming off a bye. Bad combo. I like the Buffalo. I think Buffalo whacks them. This is going to get ugly, and I think the Bills score a bunch of points.
The last meeting was week 4 of 2018. Packers shut out the Bills 22-0. Only shutout loss of Josh Allen's career. Maybe he's got that in his mind.
They ain't shutting them out this time.
No chance. But so you like Buffalo to cover?
He's laying all those points.
Laying them all.
I usually don't like laying
all of those points. I can't wait to text old Petey.
They're going to score a bunch of points too. It's going to be a higher scoring game, you think?
That is the biggest spread of the week. 11.5 points. Bengals 3-point favorites in Cleveland on Monday Night Football, and Joe Burrow. Last week you said something about Joe Burrow maybe MVP. I
said at the beginning of the season he was my pick, and I think he's shaping into form here, and he should be licking his chops going up against this Browns secondary, the way they're throwing the football around. By the way, can we make this an annual thing? Bengals, Browns on Halloween. It's just about the orange and all that.
Yeah,
It'd be nice. It'd be nice. And battle for Ohio. I love this matchup.
So you're all festive for Halloween, huh?
Why not? Yeah,
shut the door, turn the lights off, and open the hell like nobody comes.
And then we come back later on and egg your house. we
used to do that too. I was good at that back in the day.
Nobody's climbing to floor 75 of your high rise down.
No.
As far as this game goes, though, Brissett played one of his better games last week. I know it ultimately didn't work out. I think Kevin Stefanski maybe is getting a little pressure too, and the way he's been managed some of these football games. And calls didn't go their way either. Divisional game, I'll take the 3 points in the home dog here.
Shocking, you took the Browns.
I think the Browns keep this one. It has nothing to do with being a former Browns player. I think they're better than what their record indicates. They just have not been able to put it together. And again, I'm not saying they win this game. I think they keep it close. I think they keep it within the number.
I don't. I think their secondary has been awful. I think their pass defense has been terrible. And I think Joe Burrow and that offense has found it. You know what? Zach Taylor, as long as you keep away from running the football early in games, they're going to be just fine. Throw it, and throw it some more. Then you run late in the game. If that's what you want to do, you run. We've seen too many instances where he thought he could run the ball, and he shouldn't have been running the ball. Should have been throwing the ball. Now they're finding out you throw it, and throw it some more. Then you want to run late in the game.
Your best players are your wide receivers.
Of course.
With Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd.
And the quarterback.
Just feed them.
And the quarterback.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
But again, it doesn't matter because we're looking at Aaron Rodgers, who's one of the best in the league.
But that combination of those four should throw it.
I agree.
And
throw it.
Joe Mixon's a good back. Then you run in the second half when you get a lead.
Throw it, and then run it.
You throw to score, you run to win.
Nick Chubb maybe going off in this game against that Bengals defense?
No, I don't. I think the defense is getting better for the Bengals, so I think they're going to play better here. I think they win by 10.
It's always easy to look good when your offense is playing well as a defense.
They win by 10.
Yeah.
Bengals -3 is the pick from Pete. Brady does not agree with Pete on either of those prime time picks. All right, it is time for our best bets of the week presented by Amazon. Pete, you hinted a little bit earlier.
He gave mine away. What do you mean hinted?
I gave mine away.
There were a couple that I felt like
mine
you
away.
feel really strongly about,
Yes,
but you
he
chose one. Which one is
I'm
that?
taking the Niners. I just think that I'm going with history. History says Kyle Shanahan beats Sean McVay. I'm going with the pass rush to get after Matt Stafford, her turn the ball over. I'm taking the 49ers.
I mean, eventually, though, it reverts back to the mean.
Yeah, does it?
There's
maybe not as long as Kyle Shanahan's there.
Maybe.
Well, Pete, you took the cattle prod to the offensive line there. They're going to play better this week.
You know how that works. It usually works that way.
Always the spinning
I don't
top
think it
bounce
does.
back.
Yeah, it
The
does.
Colts are
They pay
in the
attention to
position
me.
they're in, and
They
you've
pay
got them
attention to me.
at the top.
They pay attention to me.
They might pay attention. I don't think it helps improve their play. All right, I hit it at mine. I think the Raiders Saints, that game goes over. Derek Carr and the offense starting to get comfortable there in Las Vegas. And Andy Dalton, you kind of touched on it. Outside of a couple pick sixes, they got a little extra time to prepare for this one. I think they start to put it together too. They hit the over of 49.5.
I really wanted to take the Dolphins Lions over, but I'm done with taking over unders for my best bets after what happened with the couple weeks ago. So I'm not taking
What
it.
happened?
Seattle, remember that disaster?
It's Seattle, Arizona.
Yeah.
What was the final? 16-9?
Yeah, they went down and get opening drive. They go right down the field and they get 3.
Oh, man.
Still on pace at that point.
No, well, they should have scored.
Only 2 buys this week. The Chiefs on a bye. The Chargers, mercifully, on a bye. Pete, you killed them this week.
I did.
Right?
Justin Herbert leading the league in passing attempts, and he's 28th in yards per
Not
attempt.
throwing it downfield.
Nope, terrible.
So Pete Prisco and Brady Quinn, I'm Chris.
Wait, we forgot about this.
Oh, what's that? Oh, the baddest man in the NFL.
Baddest man to ever play in the NFL. This was in the New York Post today, and I just want you to take a look at who that is.
It was one of those sponsor things at the bottom of a website. A gallery. The baddest men to ever play, and it's Brady.
And it's Brady.
Herald Weekly.
Great. It was in the New York Post, the bottom sponsored thing. Look at what.
How did
look
you
at that.
blow it up that big?
Should I be getting money
Brady,
for this?
Brady, you
Probably.
should
I be
take
getting money for
you
that?
should take this as a compliment. You were one of the baddest men to play in the NFL.
Given that you don't have hair, how does that
Look
work?
at that mop.
That's gone back a little bit since then too.
I've grown it out.
Nah, what do you think? You used to.
It's a lot longer.
Welcome
He
to
loves
my
the
world.
balding joke.
Just come on by.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.